I've really been looking forward to receiving this. This is a vertical planter called the NatureUp from a company called Gardena. And it's perfect for a place that I have here at the house that is a bit ugly, a bit underused, and I'm sure that we all have a space like that we can think of right now. So this space in particular is right by my kitchen door. It's on a concrete step, and I have some planters there, but I really want to use that space for growing foods. So this is going to be ideal for that. I'm really excited to get this on the go, and then I'm going to follow up with some more gardening tasks because, gosh, look at that sunshine. Spring is definitely here and there is a lot to do. The planter arrives as separate, really heavy-duty plastic pieces, and they just slot together really easily, no tools necessary. There's a base, so that's really handy for if you want this installed on the ground somewhere, so it'll protect the patio and it will catch the extra moisture from these growing troughs. So a lid goes on top there, and then you put the next trough on, and it also has a lid. And then the last one. The lid for this last one is basically a base for another one. So if you wanted to get a couple of these sets, you could probably have 6 or even more stacked up, and that would make great use of a wall at home that you aren't getting any use out of. It'll fill that space with edibles or flowers or whatever you'd like. And no tools necessary unless you want to install this on the wall. Now I'm going to have my planter just flat on the ground, but if you go over to the Gardena website, there's a fantastic photo of how you could kit out a corner area of a patio. So there's actually planters on both sides of the corner, and it really fills that space. And you can also check out the other Gardena products while you're over there as well. I've filled the trough up with compost, and it's about, I'd say, 1/2 inch, so about 1 centimeter from the top. And now I'm going to plant it up with the lettuces and greens. And I've decided that I'll put these kind of more spiky greens on the sides, and I'll put the more kind of traditional lettuce in the center. And that's just more for visual effect than anything else. And I think the best way to plant these is going to be at an angle, so that, well, they'll be able to grow up as they grow in their permanent place. But for now, I need to protect them from the next trough that I'm going to be setting on top. So just dig these guys in. I think it's really important to press compost down when you're planting up containers like this, because one challenge that you'll always have with containers is water, so having enough water in the compost. And if you press it down, it will help to lock moisture in. So really fluffy, light compost, it tends to lose water a lot quicker. And then we're also going to put a layer of horticultural grit just on top. This will also help to keep the moisture in. Now comes the fun part, putting it all together. Now the next one. And the last one. What will strike you when you're watering this planter is that you can hear some trickling noises. And that's because the excess water from the top filters down through the middle and then down through to the bottom, and anything extra collects in this base area here. So it's underneath the planter. So it would actually make a lot more sense to plant plants that love a little bit more water down at the bottom and perhaps drier plants up top. But what do you think? If you had this planter, what would you plant in each one of the pockets? Leave your ideas as a comment down below. This has been a fun little project. So I've seen people growing in eggshells before, but I'd never really tried it out myself. And so I sowed some kohlrabi seeds into these guys, and they are growing on nicely. So I will reduce them down to one plant very soon, and then I will kind of crack the egg a little bit and then just plant them directly out into the garden. We've got quite a cool climate here on the Isle of Man, which is why I start off a lot of seeds indoors. So either here in the conservatory or out in the greenhouse. And then once they've grown on a bit and I've hardened them off and prepared them for the outside climate, then they go out into the garden. And I've got quite a few different projects on the go now. All of these are planted up with pumpkin, squash, courgette, and cucumber seeds. And I've got quite a few varieties here. So this is a scalloped courgette, so a yellow one. This one is, I have no idea. I picked up seeds at the seed swap. It's a Russian silvery looking pumpkin. We've got squash harrier, and there's another one in here, squash hawk, both named after British birds. And these are supposedly butternut squashes for the UK climate. We'll see if they germinate. Got courgette zucchini, crystal lemon cucumbers. A friend of mine sent me seeds for blue banana heritage squash, and I think she said it's one of her favorites. Yellow courgettes. This is a lovely orange pumpkin called uchikikuri. And then over here on the end, these are also from seeds I got at the seed swap. So this is a Gardena cucumber from Bulgaria. And then an early courgette and a Queensland blue pumpkin. And when these germinate and start growing, I'll leave them in here for a while. And then when they are a few inches tall, I will plant them out into the allotment garden. Down here, I have sown little modules with all sorts. Down here, some rocket, spinach, beetroot, turnips, hollyhock, dahlia, cosmos. This one, you can see, this is another type of cosmo, and it didn't germinate at all. This is the thing with seed swaps, is that sometimes the seeds are good and will germinate, and sometimes they won't. But they were free, so I'm fine with that. Now here I've got my chard and rainbow beets, and at the end, some lettuce that didn't germinate. March 16th, that's when I sowed this container of mixed greens, and they are coming along a treat. So that's just over a month, and I'll start picking and harvesting these in, I would say, 2 weeks' time. But what I also need to do now is prepare for the next harvest, and so I need to sow some more of these today. So here at the allotment, I've cleared this little patch of ground of weeds, raked it over, and have installed this kind of a wigwam of bamboo canes. It's not exactly a wigwam, it's not circular. It has a space in between, so hopefully the prevailing wind, which comes from that direction, will go through it. And what I'm going to be doing today is planting my sweet peas. The sweet peas are all tucked in, and I've made sure to tie them into all the bamboo stakes, and so that way they won't be knocked around by the wind and they know where to grow up. And at the end, I mulched the entire area with composted horse manure, and that's gonna do 3 things. So it's gonna keep the moisture retention in the soil, it's gonna stop weeds from sprouting, and it's also gonna feed those sweet peas. And sweet peas are absolutely beautifully scented. If you've not grown them before, do grow them. They make an excellent cut flower. And then while I was also up at the allotment, I took my first harvest of rhubarb, and I have plans for these to make a nice rhubarb cake. Delicious. And also I want your thoughts on the Gardena planter. What do you think about it? Can you see that in your gardening setup? Do you have any questions about it from this video? If so, leave them as a comment below. And do check it out over on their website. There's gonna be a link below as well. In any case, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you again next week for another gardening video here on the Lovely Greens YouTube channel.